disruptive.
America that I fuck.
Weird thing to happen. So as we're continuing the coverage to try to dive further into the Trump assassination plot that the deep state cultivated, because that's the only explanation, and I'm not exaggerating on that. That's like the only logical point at this moment. It's the only logical stance to be made about the fact that this 20-year-old was able to bypass all the security measures, get onto a roof with the security service knowing about this, and able to open fire. It's the only logical proof, and prove me otherwise. So now the real question is, who's to blame for this? Who really should be pointing the finger at of this absolutely horrendous failure? Because obviously there needs to be some sort of accountability. They're not going to actually hold people accountable, but there needs to be someone to put this on towards, because of how disastrous this all was. And the buck stops at this lady, Kimberly Cheadle, who is the head of the U.S. Secret Service director. And I'm going to be honest, when I first heard the name Cheadle on, as I was, looking on my phone there, and you know how they give the recommendation and Cheadle popped up, I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking of the actor Don Cheadle. And I'm thinking to myself, what would Don Cheadle have to do with this? Like, he's a good actor. Why even bring him into this? Oh, that's the lady. And you'll see why. This person, this lady, is absolutely hysterical that she is the head of the Secret Service. So she blames a sloped roof for the security failure. I'm not even joking. This is not even a joke. She blames the roof being a slope, being on an angle, for not catching this kid opening fire at the president. Again, no one can be this incompetent. No one can be this incompetent. Even just me reading that just makes my head just spin out of control on how stupid that sounds. No one would come up with a pathetic excuse except for someone like her. So it turns out that the roof's slope was less than 10 degrees. Hardly cause for concern. This excuse alone proves Kimberly Cheadle's incompetence. She must be fired immediately. So she goes on to ABC News here to do an exclusive interview after the failed assassination attempt. And this is the head of Secret Service. And you would think with the head of Secret Service, again, this would be someone that's, has the physique, has the mental ability, knows the ins and outs, knows how to track that. Like, you expect like someone like, a CIA hitman you see in the movies. That's what I'd be expecting if you're the head of the Secret Service. Not this incompetent clown, as you're about to see here. Watch how disastrous this interview gets.
The United States Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, speaks exclusively with ABC News, taking responsibility for that stunning breakdown in security.
This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
Minutes after Trump took...
Unacceptable. That's all she says. It was unacceptable. How about you did not do your job? And the fact that you could not do your single most important job should be immediate dismissal. Immediately fired. Gone. And she's saying it's unacceptable. Oh, she's downplaying. Oh, it's just a little failure here and there. Oh, we just didn't have the right measures in place. The roof was a little slanted. There was a wind in the air. Oh. That's why, a 20-year-old was able to try to assassinate the president. We did everything we could. Oh, my God.
To stage Saturday in front of thousands of people, gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks wounding the former president and 3 others before a Secret Service counter sniper took him out.
I'm being told that
After the snipers that were on the roof across stared at him for 20 straight minutes. They forget to add that part into this ABC interview. They saw him on the roof. They saw him crawling up the roof with a rifle, and they stared down their scope of their sniper rifles for 20 straight minutes. They were looking directly at this kid, crawling with a rifle, directly at the kid, and they didn't do jack squats until he opened fire. The shooter opened fire, killed someone, injured Trump, injured other people, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to step into action. I am just stunned how the hell these people still have their jobs. How these people get top positions. I'm just absolutely stunned. How this woman even got to the top of Secret Service. Because clearly she does not have the fortitude. She does not have the stability, the mental acuity that the job incomes. You're the director of Secret Service, and this is your response? This is something a teacher would say to a child's parents. Oh, little Tommy did something that was unacceptable. You're the top of Secret Service, and this is how you respond to it? Oh, well, it was a bit of a failure. It was unacceptable.
that the shooter was actually identified as a potential person of suspicion. Units started responding.
Person of suspicion. Person of suspicion. I love how the interviewer, I love how the reporter had to chime in and say it was a threat. No, it was beyond suspicion. It was a threat. This guy had a rifle. He wanted to climb to the top of the roof. Obviously, he was going to shoot someone. That would kind of be the point of why a rando is going to climb the roof with a gun. Suspicious person. Holy. Why do these people have the jobs they have? Is this part of the DEI bullshit agenda? Is it where this lady even came from? I just baffles me that this is the response you give after the horrendous failure of trying to do the one thing that you're responsible for. Your entire job engulfs into you protecting the president. And this is how you respond. Oh, it's unacceptable. Ooh la la. It's so unacceptable. Holy. How she's not fired now? Like, again, it's just so ridiculous. By the way, I should also add, too, that the reason why it looked like there was not really many Secret Service agents at this event, even though there was a high potential threat that they now informed. They've now proven that there was a high alert, and they didn't do anything. And the reason for that is because nearby, get this, nearby, Jill Biden, the First Lady, had an event while Trump was doing his rally. Isn't that kind of suspicious? That the First Lady all of a sudden had a little meet and greet at the same time that Trump was having a rally right next to each other, and that's why Secret Service had to protect the First Lady, but not the former president. Something that, you know, it's a coincidence. Quinky dink. Pay no attention. Don't peek behind the curtain. Don't ask random questions. What, you gonna read? You know from COVID times you're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to look into things. Don't ask questions. Leave it to the experts. Because she said it's unacceptable. Holy Christ.
To seek that individual out. Unfortunately, with the rapid succession of how things unfolded, by the time that individual was eventually located, they were on the rooftop and were able to fire off at the former president.
ABC News now learning that heavily armed local police were actually stationed inside the building. The gunman climbed, but they missed him. Butler Town.
Just even the way they said that just sounds obviously so disappointing. It's just so horrendous. The cops are inside the building, and then the potential threat climbed on top of that building and opened fire. How people cannot just shake their heads in the utter stupidity of their country's law enforcement. This is where I give a bit of slack to the First Amendment or the Second Amendment crowd. This is where I preach to you guys, because this is the people that are supposed to protect and serve the community, and this is their response. Hey, we went inside and protected, the inside of the building where there was no threat, and when there's never a threat, period. But let's not worry about the kid that's climbed up the building that we saw previously with a rifle. Let's not be concerned about that. Let's not be concerned about the action outside where everybody else is. You dumb MFers. Seriously. The dumbest people.
Officials confirming that after they became aware of the threat, a local police officer climbed up to the roof and confronted Crooks, but did not succeed in stopping him.
What was your...
So, he just said that an officer climbed and confronted the killer. Climbed up on the roof, saw this guy directly at him, and the gunman turned his rifle at the officer, and the officer climbed down. Again, would you not have the potential instinct to call for backup, call for a code red, say that there's a potential violent gunman on the roof? Would you not go to protocol? You are a law officer. You're enforcing the law. You're a police officer protecting people. Why would that not be your instinct at that moment? Why would you just climb back down and ignore that? If anyone else was in that situation, they'd be calling for help. They'd be doing something. But they didn't do literally jack shit. They didn't do anything. They let it unfold. Which again, confirms all my suspicions that this logically had to be some sort of deep state ploy. There had to be some acknowledgement of this happening. Had to be. There's no possibility that people can be this incompetent to climb up the roof, see the shooter right in your face, and then walk back down and pretend nothing happened. You goddamn idiot. And these are officers with bulletproof vests and guns. Why wouldn't they just shoot the guy? Why wouldn't they tase him? Why wouldn't they do anything? Like, holy crap.
reaction when you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock, and then concern, obviously. for the former president.
Investigators now trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing up seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet.
Now we're going to determine whether the roof was safe or not. Now, after the failed assassination attempt, after the horrific scene, now we're going to determine whether or not it was secured. Obviously it wasn't. Obviously it wasn't. And the real question that ABC should be asking is, why wasn't it? What was the intent of not actually guarding the roofs like they were supposed to? What was actually the intent of putting snipers inside the building away from the crowd that they're supposed to be protecting? What was the intent of all this? Why would you do something like that? Because anyone with a working goddamn brain cell would know better. And yet you have these clowns, these morons, at the top pedestal responsible for all the security, and they couldn't secure anything. What was the intent of it? That's what I'd be asking. That's what any person should be asking in this interview. What was the intent of you letting this disastrous event unfold? Why wouldn't you warn Trump? Why wouldn't you warn anybody that, hey, there's a shooter on the roof? We should go to a code red, shut down the event, and go to some protocol and respond quickly to the situation. Unbelievable.
From the stage with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
Cheeto says the Secret Service was responsible for the inner perimeter of the rally, where Trump was.
My God.
But local police were responsible for the outer perimeter, where the gunman was located. In Washington, lawmakers demanding...
So, there's another question I should be asking. Is why weren't the officers that, if they were trying to guard the building, why wouldn't they guard the outer perimeter? Like, that's how you guard a building. If you're trying to protect someone from getting inside or getting up onto a building, you guard the perimeter. You don't go inside the building unless the actual threat is inside. But it's not inside. Nothing was happening inside. Everything was outside the building. The rally was outdoors, for Christ's sake. Why would you think that you're going to protect people away from the people inside? No one can be this incompetent. I gotta say, no one can be this incompetent and still have their job. I just, the whole thing just baffles me. The whole thing. So, here's the utter humiliation afterwards. So, when the shots rang out, they took the president away. They took Donald Trump, tried to take him away. Watch how the disaster, the chaos. And again, you would think that these people are trained enough to actually do the job properly. Watch the response of trying to get Trump into the motorcade after the failed assassination attempt. Unbelievable. So there's him trying to get in the motorcade. And watch this. They can't even get the gun in the holster. The woman can't even get the gun in her holster. What is happening? Oh my God. Is this, I swear to God, is this a stunt? Is this Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph doing a stunt on SNL? This literally looks like a deleted scene from Bridesmaids. And not dissing that movie, because it's actually pretty hilarious. Have you ever seen it? I just, again, just, I can't believe this. I really can't when I witness this. It's almost too crazy that I can't believe it. And this is not an attack on women. This is not an attack on women in workforces or anything like that. I'm very much pro-woman. But there's a reason why. And call me a kook or whatever, but there's a reason why if I was going to get bodyguards for myself or hire security, there's a reason why people go towards the beefiest, buffing freaking guy who's 8 foot tall, 400 pounds, ex-wrestler, ex-football jock to guard a place. And not a 5'1" woman. And I'm not saying that in disrespect to women. I'm saying that it makes more logical sense. Because men and women are biologically different. There's a reason why a lot of Secret Service details from the last how many years, how many of these agents have been predominantly male. It's not to be sexist. It's to say that biologically, it makes the most logical sense that you would have a big, bulky guy protecting someone like Trump, who is also a bigger, bulky guy, than a 5'1" woman. It just makes logical sense in that way. Because what I'm witnessing here is a clown show. This is literally a comedic stunt. It baffles me that this occurred. And people still, after witnessing all that they could see, still trying to make this a coincidence. Or they're trying to blame Trump for it. That's even more hilarious. They're trying to blame Trump for his own assassination attempt. I freaking love the tribalistic feud within politics. Like, people are so goddamn clueless in their goddamn cults that they resort to that goddamn bullshit. I literally, you really think that Donald Trump, through his rhetoric, was going to attempt an assassination on himself? How stupid do you have to be? How clueless, how brain dead, how much in the swamp of the political establishment do you have to be to come up with that reasoning? Holy Jesus. Anyway. And do you know where this woman came from? Because I didn't know where she came from. Well, it turns out Kimberly Cheadle, that's her. That was the one we just saw in the interview. She was the senior director for Pepsi. So not inside the Secret Service, but from Pepsi. I always thought that in any work establishment, I always thought the whole thing was that you worked your way up in whatever position. That if you were a Secret Service agent, you build upon that to become the director. You would think that. But they just go and transfer someone from goddamn Pepsi, the soft drink company. And what would she be securing at Pepsi? This just raises more questions. Why the hell would you hire someone from Pepsi to be the head of National Secret Service? It is just, I literally just have no words. So here's Jackson Hinkle, tweeting this out. This is from the RNC. This is from the convention that's happening this week. And we're going to try and get details on that. I know it's been chaotic the last few days, and it's going to get even more chaotic with this move and all. But here's Jackson Hinkle pointing out that U.S. senators are chasing down Kimberly Cheadle, the head of Secret Service, and grilling her about her failure and why she's not fired. And that's something that I would even say to her. Why are you not fired for literally not even doing the one job you're supposed to do? How the hell did you get head director in the first place? It's another thing I'd be asking her. But here's what Sanders said to her right at the RNC.
This is exactly what you were doing today on the call.
This was an assassination attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
Look at that. She's speed walking.
Left across this plaza.
She's speed walking away. I don't want to talk to these people.
This is a
And you hear the senators saying, why did you allow this to happen? This was an assassination attempt. Have we not learned anything from 1963? Have we not learned anything from JFK to MLK Jr. to John Lennon? Have we not learned a damn thing in the how many years? Have we not learned from John Wilkes Booth and Abraham Lincoln? People still think that this is just some sort of coinkydink, oopsie daisy, that it was just a lack of incompetence. But I'd say that people, genuine people, don't have this much of incompetence. And that clearly something was done. Clearly something was manufactured together that they're trying to cover up, and their cover-up is breaking. That's what I see happening. They're trying to get their cover story out as fast as possible, and their cover story is getting blown. Saying that's a slanted roof. That's why we didn't see him right away, even though we saw him for 20 straight minutes. As pathetic as the excuse is, they're trying to cultivate more pathetic excuses, hide away from the fact that they knew about this, they planned this out, they saw their failure as it happened, and now they know that people are turning against them. That even senators within the establishment are turning against people like Kimberly Cheadle, head of Secret Service. It's literally amazing that, like, again, I almost can't believe it. It's almost too crazy to believe, but at the same time, you can't unwitness with your eyes. You saw it. We've seen the coverage, and the only logical sense I could come out of this is the fact that this had to be some sort of ploy. This had to be some sort of deep state ploy. That's the only logical sense I can make out of this. And anyone else want to challenge that? Prove me otherwise. Go right ahead. But how this was able to be carried out, the same exact verbiage and language that they're trying to cover it up with, and just the actions that unfolded, prove otherwise. Prove my assumptions correct. And the same assumptions that Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Andrew Tate, and others have been predicting for a long while.